Recently, I put out an episode called Why You Shouldn't Move to Florida, and currently there are over 700 comments. A lot of those are important topics, and today I wanted to go through them. Hey everybody, Melanie Atkinson, realtor with Smith & Associates in beautiful Tampa, Florida, and today I'm going to go without a script because there were a lot of comments and questions that came up in my recent video called Why You Shouldn't Move to Florida that I wanted to address. I do think that there were some good points made in the comment section that will help anybody who's debating on whether they should or shouldn't move to Florida. Now, like I said in the beginning of that episode, it is my entire job to sell houses to people who are moving to Florida. So it does not benefit me to talk people out of moving to Florida. The entire purpose of that episode was to set expectations accordingly and honestly with people who are thinking about moving to Florida. What I kept seeing from buyers that were coming to town is that they weren't necessarily fully aware of the costs and increases in costs that we've seen here in Florida. So I started to notice that some people were getting very frustrated when they were coming here to look for homes. That was what prompted me to do that video. But you guys have some great comments, so let's start going through them. A lot of what I talk about in the video is regarding housing affordability and how much it's changed. So I wanted to read this comment because it's true for even for people that own their house and don't have mortgages. So this commenter said, another problem that exists everywhere is that even if your home is paid off, the increased value makes property taxes unaffordable for many people. This is especially true for seniors. You also left out hurricanes. So I will address hurricanes, bugs, sinkholes, and all of that. The reason I left those out of that video is because I addressed them in the previous video. And the why you shouldn't move to Florida was supposed to be more of the current reasons that you shouldn't move to Florida. Everybody knows about alligators and hurricanes. Of course, weather and bugs and reptiles are a reason that people don't move to Florida, but that really wasn't what I was talking about in the last video. But yes, those are reasons. So let's talk about the unaffordability for people that have their house paid off. So they don't have to worry about a mortgage, which is fantastic for them. But we have seen such big increases in homeowners insurance premiums, and yes, property taxes go up all the time. Now, the one edit that I'll say to this comment is if you've owned your home for a long time in Florida and it is homesteaded, then the taxable value should only be going up a maximum of 3% per year. So yes, that increased your cost, but it shouldn't be a giant increase if you've owned your home for a long time every year. It would just be 3% max. But for me, people on a fixed income are being especially squeezed with homeowners insurance costs, flood insurance costs, because a lot of them live near the water, and yes, to a smaller extent, to property tax increases and utility increases. So thank you for that comment. That was a good one. So this comment says, we moved more inland, but still only 10 miles from Sunset Beach because of the flood zones. Made a big difference in our insurance costs and found a home in a little older neighborhood without an HOA. Not what we originally planned when we were moving here, but most cost effective for our long-term goals. That is exactly what I wanted to hear and see in the comment section. That was what I was encouraging people to do. If you want to move to Florida, there are affordable ways for you to do it, but you might have to adjust what you think you wanted in order to afford living here. Because costs are so high from insurance and just prices in general, when you're dealing with houses that are really close to the coast, you can save a significant amount of money if you get out of flood zones and you get into areas where the prices are a little bit lower, because they're always going to be more expensive the closer you are to water. So that is exactly what I wanted to hear. And thank you so much for that comment. And that's the advice that I give people who are looking to move to Florida with a budget in mind. In the video, I talked a lot about increasing utility costs. One thing that I do realize that I got lots of comments on is that utility costs have gone up pretty much throughout the country. And yes, we are not alone in Florida, but they were extremely obvious this past year in Florida, especially in the Tampa area. This comment says, we're in Port Charlotte and our utility bills have skyrocketed in the past few years. We're very frugal with our electric usage and our bill has not been under $400 all year. At worst, it was $584 for 1 month. Our homeowners and auto insurance have jumped significantly, with homeowners insurance increasing $1,500 since last year. I've said repeatedly, I don't know how anyone on a fixed income is going to be able to live here moving forward. Those who are moving to Florida and are unaware of the situation are in for a huge wake-up call. We're in the process of building a retirement homestead and relocating to Tennessee. That, again, was what I was feeling and seeing with buyers and even long-term residents in Florida. Utility costs, because they were so shockingly high, we were all sitting here wondering how people on fixed incomes are actually affording an increase that they were not expecting. We didn't know. Maybe we did, maybe we were given notices, but a lot of people aren't paying attention. But they went up a lot, and thankfully, hopefully we'll see some relief in 2024 with those costs. Okay, politics. If there's one theme that runs very prominently in the comment section, it is politics. This commenter said, kudos to you for listing politics as a possible reason not to move to Florida. Most realtors avoid bringing it up. We avoid bringing it up because it does cause issues with our ethics and guidelines. In the video, I say that politics are a reason that a lot of people move here, and it's also a reason that a lot of people move out. I would be completely lying if I said that politics was not something that people want to talk about on a regular basis, especially during the COVID years. It was the number one thing that people wanted to hear about. And it is a very difficult thing for real estate agents to talk about. There are resources if you would like to dig more into the politics of certain counties and areas. There are online resources to do it, but Florida is a state where politics comes up. And I have seen, especially in the past year, that it has very much been a reason why certain people have moved out, and it's been a reason why people have moved in. So thank you for the comment. All right, so traffic in I-4. This comment says, if considering moving to the Tampa Bay area, where I am, I advise staying off I-4 as much as possible. The traffic is a nightmare. Many look towards North Pasco County for lower prices. I chose to look to the south to Manatee County. Easier access to the Gulf, even with lower housing prices and better traffic. Wholeheartedly agree with this assessment. For lower prices, we see the lowest prices in the areas that are less developed, where there's a lot of new construction, and also where they're a little bit farther away from the cities. The area that he's referring to south to Manatee County, is actually a really popular area that's growing. Palmetto and Parrish, they're growing very quickly. And one of the reasons I recommend those areas, not only for price, is because you do have closer access to the beaches near Sarasota, so Anna Maria Island, Longboat Key. And you have access to the Skyway Bridge, which brings you directly into the Pinellas County beaches and downtown St. Pete. So for anyone who wants to live in downtown St. Pete but can't afford downtown St. Pete and doesn't want the older homes that are located kind of in the center of Pinellas County, looking into the areas of Palmetto and Parrish can be a really great option. So thank you so much for that. And I-4 is a nightmare. Wholeheartedly agree. Okay, well this was, I think, the only person that commented on this, and I actually don't know the answer to this. But this comment says, more reasons not to move to Florida. Florida loves pets. We do love pets here. But veterinarian costs are now the second highest in the country. Now that's not a stat that I know or can confirm, but that's interesting. And I would actually be interested in knowing where that stat comes from. If you're a senior citizen, good luck finding a qualified MD that accepts Medicare. I am not a senior citizen, so I cannot personally talk about this, but I have heard that it's hard to find primary care physicians sometimes, and that there are somewhat long waiting lists. So that's definitely something to look into if you're going to move here and you are on Medicare. Florida is the new playground for multimillionaires and billionaires. Be one of them or try your luck at a casino or lottery before moving here. Wow. I do agree to a point. It is definitely, we have definitely seen a lot of migration for people that are in the higher income brackets, for sure. I don't think I would ever recommend the lottery or casino. I would recommend that you find a house in an area that is more affordable than wasting your money on a casino or lottery. But thank you so much for that comment. So especially in the past couple of years, we have had a lot of people that have migrated from New York. A lot of my own personal clients have come from New York. So here's a comment from someone that came from New York. I moved to Florida from New York 2 years ago, like a whole bunch of you did, and I love it here. Sure, there are downfalls, but the good outweigh the bad, at least for me. New York was way more expensive, and I live a much better life down here. But you're spot on, and there are things that need to improve. And by the way, I'm 48 years old, not a senior yet. So thank you for that comment, because that addresses the more middle-aged people that were most of my clients that moved down here. And that was the sentiment from a lot of people that moved from New York, that even though they could see last year or even 2 years ago that costs were going up in Florida very quickly, they still found it a better place cost-wise. They weren't paying state income tax. And even though property taxes were somewhat high, they could afford more house down here than they could in New York. But more than that, it was the year-round lifestyle that they were looking for. They didn't want to deal with winters anymore. They understood that the summers were going to be hot, but having the ability to be outside all year round outweighed all of that for them. And I know for a fact that a lot of my New York buyers are extremely happy with their decision to have moved down here specifically for the year-round lifestyle. One more about driving. This comment just makes me laugh. Have to agree with you on the left lane drivers. I feel they're just as dangerous as reckless drivers. I drive from Ocala to the Villages on occasion on 441, and it's just a long line of left lane drivers going under the speed limit, and you cannot get around them. Again, like I say in that video, I will die on this hill. If people got out of the left lane, the roads in Florida would not be so chaotic. So thank you, Cliff, for recognizing that. Moved to Florida 2 years ago from New York. I have no regrets. Again, that goes back to what I just said. Moved to Florida from Illinois. Love Florida. Best decision we made. Coming from mega taxes in Illinois, we were better off in Florida. There was one comment that came up kind of early on that I can't find because it was so early, it's buried. But it talked about Florida being a luxury state. And I wanted to address that because I do think that Florida was undervalued for a long time. And some of the price increases that we've seen feel justified for those of us who live here and understand all that Florida provides, the lifestyle that Florida provides. You literally can staycation in Florida all the time. There are so many things to do here. So there is a luxury to that. And I think what we're seeing now is a premium on that luxury. And people are starting to have to pay more for it than they were before. The conflict comes because those prices have risen and everything has gone up so incredibly quickly that for those of us who have lived here for a long time, it's very jarring to see what has happened to house prices and costs of insurance and property taxes. We look at what people are paying now to move into the state, and it feels very like a lot. It's a lot of money compared to what we were paying to get into the state just a couple of years ago. For those of us like me who have grown up in Florida, we have seen a huge increase in values since 1980 when I got here. So I do think that there's a premium for this lifestyle, and I am okay with the price increases. I do think it was very jarring how fast it all happened. So one of the things that I love about a video with a lot of comments is that they just start getting really mean, and it's totally fine. It doesn't really bother me, but some of them are really funny. The one that I got the most are like, why don't you move out of Florida then? If you hate it so much, why don't you move out of Florida? I don't hate Florida in any way, shape, or form. There are problems in every single state that you live in. And I'm not moving out of Florida. This is a great home base. But yes, I guess since I have a few gripes, I should probably move out. The other one I get is, why should we listen to you? Well, you don't have to listen to me. That's totally up to you. But I have lived in Florida for most of my life. And I do help buyers and sellers move here all the time or move out of Florida. So I do actually have a fair amount of perspective on what is good and bad. Why don't you leave then? Thank you to our hostess for this important segment, masterfully done. Now that's the kind of comment I can get behind. However, I'm confused by the word hostess. But yeah, I'll take that over some of the other things that I got. Tizzle Kizzle. First of all, I love the name. Said, farts smell worse in Florida because of the humidity. Don't say I didn't warn you. I have not done a study on that and haven't seen research, but I mean, that sounds accurate. Melanie does not love Tampa Bay. Melanie does love Tampa Bay. I do. I do not think Tampa is Florida, or is perfect. Love Florida. You are useless. Aw, thank you, Lorraine. Melanie is so pale she never goes to the beach. Florida is about the ocean, so she should move away. Dude, I get the pale comment all the time. I don't know what people expect me to do. I work all the time. And I mean, when you grow up in Florida, you learn about sun damage. You're not really supposed to go to the beach all the time. Do people want me leathery? I don't understand. I'm not moving away because I'm not tan. There are lots of pasty people in Florida. That bell is annoying. It woke my wife. Okay. The one where you subscribed? Thank you. And I will end with this one. Martin Davis says, I'll move to Florida, but only if I can live with you, Big Mama. Now, I don't think I can pull off that nickname, but I welcome you to move to Florida if you would like to live with somebody else. And if anyone else wants to move to Florida, feel free to check out our website and register there, and we will get in touch with you. Thank you all so much for watching the Why Shouldn't You Move to Florida? And if you haven't watched it, check it out. It's fantastic. And thank you for watching this episode. I will see you guys all next time.